All right, there are more questions this morning surrounding Governor Blagojevich's investigation.
Tom Seraphin, our political analyst, joins us right now to kind of sort things out. We just talked
to
Jesse Jackson Jr.
Yeah.
He actually came out of his home this morning and spoke to one of our reporters in regards to what the Tribune is reporting this morning.
About the fundraising.
Yeah, they're exclusive here, just talking about the Raghu Nayak and his relationship with Jesse Jackson Jr. and the governor.
Well, they're alleging in the newspaper that you add here to this to that and you get this. But they're not making the case as the prosecutors are. Sure, he's got a lot of fundraisers going on and trying to make the case that they did this for candidate number 5, which allegedly is Jesse Jackson Jr. You know, and it's a good story. They're doing good work. Some of their records were subpoenaed by the federal prosecutor, so the Tribune's very much involved in some capacity here.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's a whole series of things to get to. Let's first of all talk about where Rahm Emanuel's been and where he is involved. Of course, President-elect Barack Obama came out, held a press conference yesterday. Although he was talking about other things, he definitely had to address the situation here in the state. But he said he was disappointed and made it very clear he was not involved in any of this process and has had no communication with the governor about this open Senate seat, which some may question and go, well, you would think that he would have some involvement. So what is going on here?
He said none of his people were involved in any deal-making relative to the office, and that's probably true, but that's very carefully selected language. Of course they have to be talking. If the president-elect is from the state of Illinois, the governor should have somebody or a team of people full-time assigned to that office and trying to get help for the state of Illinois. We need a lot of help and to work with them in the transitional process. So whether it's Rahm or whether it's Governor Blagojevich or whether it's someone else, they have to be communicating. If they don't communicate, then they're not doing their job.
Well, if that's the case, then how can they not be talking about the open Senate seat?
Well, of course they talked about the open Senate seat. Now, I don't know what kind of conversations took place. The prosecutor is alleging that, you know, deal-making was going on. The president-elect, and we have to take him for his word, said no deal-making was discussed, but of course communication was going on. You have a congressional seat, Rahm Emanuel's congressional seat, which was held by Rod Blagojevich before Rahm got that seat. That seat is going to be vacant. He's going to Washington as a chief of staff. Then you've got the United States Senate seat of Barack Obama, who's going to the White House. That seat will be, you know, someone will be selected for that seat, or maybe we might have an election. So, yeah, they have to talk about those things. Of course they talk about them. They talk about redistricting. We talk about who's going to run for this race, who's going to run for that race. So the conversations took place. What's tawdry about this thing is that the governor is he's on tape suggesting that F this and F that, my wife needs this, and this is a valuable seat. Allegedly, he was selling that seat for $1 million. Now, $1 million. Now, listen, yesterday, the Senate said we can't do the bailout for $15 billion for General Motors. But if they had 3 or 4 more Senate seats, they could have done that deal, the Democratic Party, a $15 billion deal. So this seat is worth a lot more than $1 million. You know, the governor, you know, was kind of an amateur in this whole process.
So you're saying this is to be expected?
Well, it's expected for people to communicate. Of course, they have to talk to each other. And a lot of these guys worked together for years. I worked with Rahm on an election in 1980. I mean, everybody's worked with everyone. So everybody knows everybody. If you represent the White House and he represents the big house in Springfield, of course you have to communicate. Now, the problem is what was discussed. When was it discussed? And, of course, here on this set, Jack Connolly talked to Dave Axelrod on the 23rd of November and said those discussions were going on with the first party, the principal, and now they're saying that didn't happen. So, I mean, you got the politics going on now rather than the reality. You know, there's it's going to be a very
in the meantime, everybody wants to know the truth. Everybody come clean on this.
Right, and who's going to take the Senate seat now? Harry Reid, the president of the U.S. Senate, he doesn't want an election because a Republican could win that election today here in Illinois. You know, they should appoint somebody like Roland Burris, who was the first black person ever elected in Illinois, who was sitting in that seat for 2 years, and turn it over to somebody else. I mean, I think the Democrats have a real problem on their hands.
What's interesting is that we did a poll on this, and overwhelmingly the majority of people in Illinois want there to be a special election because who's to say who's connected to who? You know, when you talk about somebody appointing a seat there.
Not a lot of trust in that.
And the governor's not going to resign anytime soon, according to what his
There's no reason to give up his leverage. If he gives it up, what's he got to deal with the prosecutors or with anybody else? The governor is doing the right thing, going back to his job. He's innocent until proven guilty. And we should have an election in this process. You know, what happened to Pat Quinn yesterday? The lieutenant governor says, as soon as I take this job, I'm going to appoint somebody. Well, who? And for what?
Right.
And what kind of discussions did we not hear about before?
Well, this isn't the end of it. Tom Seraphin, thank you for sharing your thoughts this morning. We appreciate it.